One of my YouTube followers sent me an email and she explained that she's in a situation, she's not really sure what to do. And her situation was that she has a Section 8 tenant, and at first Section 8 was paying 100% of this tenant's rent. Yay, we love it when that happens. But then Section 8 sent her what's called a HAP adjustment notification. So she gets this adjustment notification letter saying, now the tenant has to pay $621 a month of the rent. Well, it worked out. The first month the tenant paid, so it must not have been too big of a surprise. But the second month, which was December, the tenant didn't pay. And then the tenant totally ghosted the landlord. And the landlord said, I explained to her on her voicemail, in an email, and text, I'm not in the business of collecting late fees. And the tenant still ghosted her and didn't pay. And so this landlord wrote to me and said, what do I do? So I'll tell you right now what I would do. I would send a notice of eviction, and I'd send a very nice letter along with it. So in this video, let's get into a few of these subjects. We're going to talk about, first I'll tell you who I am, but we're going to talk about how these Section 8 adjustments work. And we're going to talk, I'll give you my 2 cents. I'm going to make a confession to you about late fees. It's not a good story, but maybe it'll help you. I'm going to tell you about my letters and what they say. Quick interruption. Please take a second and push the like button and subscribe. It means a lot and it helps me give you more of this wonderful information. Send me an email too, or put a comment below. Maybe you'll turn into a video too. Thank you. So who I am, I'm Monique Burns. My husband and I buy houses in Detroit. We renovate them. We sell them to investors from all over the country and all over the world. Investors are realizing that Detroit is an excellent market. We are next to all this fresh water. The price of houses is really good to get into investments. You can get around a 12% return on your investment, much better than with your 401k, right? So now is a really good time to get into it. This house that I'm at right now, I'm not in Detroit, I'm in northern Michigan, and check out this fireplace. My grandfather saw this investment opportunity, I don't know what year, a long time ago, before I was born, and nobody else wanted this house because this is actually, according to neighborhood legend, it's a murder house. Supposedly there's dead bodies in the basement, but when my grandma bought it, she just had it cemented over, and these dead bodies that are supposedly under there have never bothered us. So I'm good with it. And now my family gets to enjoy a piece of northern Michigan on water, and this is no longer cheap real estate. I'm just very lucky. So I'm all about investing. I am so grateful that my grandfather had the foresight to do this for me. Back in 2020, I made several videos, and it was right after I sold my property management company. My husband and I have our own investment properties, but then we started flipping and selling to investors, and we built up a property management company based on the houses that we flipped, and we did really well with it. And we turned around and we sold the company in 2020, and I was a little bit bored, and I said, okay, I'm going to make videos on what I know about. And I really knew a lot from having a property management company in Detroit about how Section 8 works. And I had a lot more to learn, and so I did a bunch of research and I made a bunch of videos. So I highly recommend you find this playlist of mine and get deep into it. It talks about, the pros and cons and what even is Section 8. So I won't go into that here. We're going to talk about portions though. So the gist is that Section 8 says to the tenant, listen, we're going to help you pay your rent, but 30% of your income, even if it's child support, disability, whatever it is, 30% of that money you're bringing home, tenant, you have to pay it directly to the landlord. We'll pay the rest, but you have to pay that. Well, that's great and all, but then tenant's income changes. And I found out just recently, I'm forever learning. I was talking to a tenant just yesterday, and she said her portion is about to change because she just got a new job. But she can't give Section 8 her pay stubs until she has collected 4 pay stubs. So what does that mean? That's like 2 whole months of her making more money that she's still having Section 8 pay 100% of her rent, and now all of a sudden she has a job. So that gives her 2 months to start budgeting to change what she does so that she should know not to go spending all her money because she got more money, because she will have to pay 30% of that to the landlord. And then I don't know for sure, but just from my years of experience working with Section 8, I would have to think by the time she turns in those pay stubs, It takes Section 8 a couple weeks just to turn that around and to send a letter. We always get a letter in the mail, and it's called an adjustment notification. And on the adjustment notification, it says, now your tenant has to pay $621 a month. And it's not like the moment you get the letter, it's usually a month or even 2 months out. So there's this time period, the tenant's got some really good money coming in that they're not using toward rent. So when this woman's tenant paid that first month, she knew it was coming. But when she didn't pay the next month, she chose to spend it on Christmas, is my guess. So that's how these adjustment notifications work. I used to feel badly. I'd get the letter and I'd hurry up and call my tenant. Oh my gosh, you have to pay all this extra rent. And they say that's okay because Section 8 looked at their income and they said 30% of it goes to the landlord. And it's true, that's what is affordable for that person, and they'll be okay. And not to mention, they're like, and by the way, I got the letter too. You didn't need to call me. Like, okay. The other subject I want to talk about is late fees. So I'm going to make a little confession to you. When I started as a landlord back in 2008, my first tenant, who's still there, Section 8 paid 100% of her rent. So it was so easy for me. I never had to look at rent. It just was an automatic deposit in my bank account each month. And that taught my husband and I, we really like Section 8. This is so easy. We don't have to collect rent. Well, eventually, as we built up our own portfolio, we had more tenants, and that's not normal, that they're 100% all the time. My first tenant had a disability that was helpful as far as, not for her, but helpful that we got 100% of the rent. So other tenants would start to pay late, and I just was like, oh, shoot, they didn't pay? Oh, no. And then I'd call them, oh, this and that happened. I'd be like, okay. And I didn't have the heart to do late fees. Well, as the years went on, then I started a property management company, and that's just not how you do business. You have to charge late fees because you're just teaching people to take advantage. It's like, where else in life do you not have some kind of penalty if you're late? There's always a penalty everywhere with credit cards, with mortgages. You can't do that because it costs the other person. Like, it costs me money if I have a mortgage on that house. Now I'm like fronting the mortgage. You can't do that. Not in the business of paying late fees. That's not good. So my confession is, once I had my property management company, I'm like, I'm going to start charging my own tenants late fees. And I would send them a letter and I said, listen, I have to treat everybody the same because that is like a fair housing rule. You never want to be caught under fair housing problems. So it's only if you treat people differently. I treated this person because I let this person slide, but not this person. Well, then they can go to fair housing and say, you know what, she did with that person, and it's because of this, this, and this. And you're like, what? That had nothing to do with it. It was strictly about money, But you have to be very careful with fair housing. So I told all my tenants, you're all getting charged late fees. Woo, the pushback, it was so bad. But Monique, you've never charged us late fees before, and I'm always good for it. And I'm like, how do you do that? How do you change on people like that? So I just am saying, do it from the beginning so you're not like me, who's still not charging late fees. And I have really good tenants who actually do pay every month, So it kind of worked out for me, but it's not the way that you do business. So if your tenant does not pay, remember I said there's that fair housing thing. You have to send everybody a notice of eviction the first day that rent does not come in so that you don't ever get called out for not treating everyone the same. And I think to myself, how are these tenants ever going to meet each other? Like, they don't know I own this house and this house, but like, let's say it was an apartment building, they're going to figure it out. Or if you have a flat, they're going to be like, you got charged a late fee and I didn't get charged a late fee. You got sent a notice and I didn't get charged a notice. You've got problems. So I thought, it's a small world no matter what. You just truly have to treat everyone the same. So you immediately send that out, but I always send it with a letter because my tenants are really good actually. And I'll send it with a letter saying, listen, I know that you always pay your rent. I did this especially when I had a property management company. I'm just kind of on autopilot with my own tenants. But when I had my property management company, I would send a very nice letter with it because they would get irate. They just see the notice of eviction. They're like, how dare her? I called. I told her that this, and this, and this happened and I'll pay. And then I've always paid, So I send a letter, hey, I know that, but I have to treat everyone the same. I'm sure you understand. If you get, then I give these options or explanations. if you can get your rent to me before I get a court date, I'll cancel it with the attorney. If you get your rent to me before we appear in court, I'll cancel the case. I'll tell my attorney to cancel the case so that's not on your record. If you still don't have the rent and we appear in front of a judge, just so you know, the judge is going to say, when can you pay? And that payment plan that you and I have already discussed, thank you so much for discussing that with me, will just be, is exactly what you'll tell the judge. And the judge will say, hey Monique, do you accept this payment plan? And I'll say yes, or I'll advise my attorney, yes, this is the payment plan I accept. And I explain to the tenant, it just puts the payment plan on record. And then if they don't do the payment plan, it protects me. I know I'll never need that protection. I know I'm never going to have to get a bailiff to kick you out. You understand this is business and this is what I have to do because I have to treat everyone the same. And that is the gist of my letter. It's a little long. Most of the time they don't read it. Most of the time they'll call me anyway. How dare you? But at least I've got it in writing, and it's something that I've always thought, you know what? I can always present this to the judge. If the tenant gets there and says, I told her, judges don't let the tenants talk anyway, or us. They're like, boom, 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 let's get through these cases. That is what my letters say. I hope that's helpful. I love it when you guys send me emails. I love it when you make comments, and I think I have some of the best followers out there. If you want to like and subscribe and all that, that's very much appreciated. Thank you so much for watching my video.